Good afternoon, ladies and a couple of guys. Like my old friend from the fair, Edgar. We worked together for a number of years. For those of you that don't know, I worked for 4 different gubernatorial administrations running the fair in Del Mar and the racetrack. And it was a wonderful, wonderful series of people we work with, like this guy over here. So it's nice to see an old friend.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to cover today, I've got a lot of ground. I brought a lot of information. I'll try to be as clear as I can, and I'll try and save as much time as possible for questions. I assume there will be a lot, and so we'll try and make enough time for that at the end. Here's what I'm going to cover today. It's basically 6 topics. First, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the primaries because they're so important, and we're in the middle of the most important primary season, maybe in our lifetimes. Secondly, I'm going to talk about Hillary Clinton's email situation. There's a lot of news you may not know about, and I'm going to make a big prediction at the end of that part. We're going to talk about Muslim immigration into Europe and what's happening in the United States, because you really need to know this. Fourth, we're going to talk about Iran, and I'll spend the most amount of time on that. That's sort of my area of expertise, and I work with members of Congress to make sure that they know what's going on, and I talk to both sides because it is important for people to really know what the deal is that our country has been obligated to follow. I'm going to spend a few minutes on Apple versus the feds and the constitutional issue that's being debated right now in federal court. And then I'm going to wrap it up and tell you a little bit about American Truth Project, which is what I'm doing now, which is my venture to educate good, involved Americans like you people, and hopefully a lot more in the coming days. So let's start first on the primary. I see your board over there and the handicapping. Let me give you the delegate update as of last night after Puerto Rico. Donald Trump is at 382. Ted Cruz is at 300. Marco Rubio, who took everything in Puerto Rico, including all the prisoner votes, at 151. And John Kasich is bringing up the rear at 37. I know it's crazy, but in Puerto Rico, all the felons get to vote, which I find very bizarre. In the coming days, there are 2 big primaries that will determine probably who ends up continuing. There's the Ohio primary, with John Kasich is putting all of his eggs on that basket, and there's Florida next week, where if Marco doesn't run, it's pretty well over for him. My feeling is that the only reason Kasich is left in the race at this point is he's running for vice president. And Marco is betting on a very, very long shot at this point. I can't see